Welcome to Hidden Horrors, the show where we uncover the shadows hiding inside your favorite films.
Inception is easily in my top 10 favorite films of all time, and I know you disagree, but I think that this film that Christopher Nolan made, not just story wise, but like visually was incredible. I think.
Ish.
Huh?
I said ish.
I mean, I know you feel differently, but like for me, it's one of my favorite films, and especially someone like me who do kind of think outside the box a little bit. I think some of the ideas and stuff that he had with this film is, it kind of spoke to me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall concept is good. My main thing is like this movie was too long, and I feel like the pacing was not great. So if we can fix those issues, but like I said, I think the overall plot is good.
What pacing? Like what was the?
I just feel like there were things that like we didn't need to see because like nobody cares. Just random parts throughout it, and like I feel like they took too long to get to like this final layer of things, and I don't want to watch a 2.5-hour movie ever in my life.
I mean, the story is pretty complex. Like it's not something they could just jump into. So I think they had to do all those, and I think it was still entertaining throughout the film. Like I don't think it dragged at all.
I mean, for me, it was a little dull, especially at some parts. Like I just don't care.
But this film, when Christopher Nolan first had this idea for this film, it was supposed to be a horror film, which is pretty shocking. It was supposed to kind of mirror A Nightmare on Elm Street to a degree. Of course it wouldn't be the same thing, but I'm actually very interested in seeing a Christopher Nolan horror film.
Look, I think by now people know that like I couldn't name you a single other movie that he's done because I don't pay attention to who directs things or who produces things or anything like that.
Multiple.
I'm sure that I have, but like I couldn't tell you a single other one because I don't ever pay attention.
I mean, you can kind of tell when it's a Christopher Nolan film just because of the style of the film. Yes. I mean, between Inception and Tenet, I mean, they look like the same damn movie almost. You got the Dark Knight movies.
I've only ever seen Tenet on accident.
You got the Prestige, Interstellar. Like they all have a similar look and feel to them. Not saying that that's bad or anything like that. It just has a certain feel to it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like a certain realness, but still almost kind of not fantasy, but like something that's, not something you see every day. But yeah, let's dive into this, hidden horror, idea within Inception. I guess the first thing we could talk about is Maul, who is Cobb's deceased wife, who, if you think about it, is kind of like a ghost throughout the film. She kind of haunts Cobb, kind of pop up when he's in the middle of trying to complete a mission, and she kind of fuck things up for him.
I mean, you know what? I feel like he deserved it.
Okay. But yeah, I think that, she was kind of like a ghost figure almost. And I do think that she kind of represented grief for him.
Oh, for sure.
He couldn't let go of that grief of, him planting this idea inside her head. That's how he knew Inception was possible, is because he did it to her. And he couldn't let that grief go. He, in the dream world, he had different layers
I mean, that's kind of why I said he deserves it. Like, he fucked with her first. He messed her up. Like, she had no idea what was real anymore. And then even then, like, in his little dreams, he just like keeps her locked in the basement. Like,
yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, he had different layers, and you know, he kind of had her in the dream world. You know, in his mind, had, you know, pieces of her kind of trapped in these, you know, different layers and stuff like that. But you know, I would definitely say that Maul was like a ghost kind of like figure. Mm-hmm. Other themes in this film is loss of control, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And that's like a big reason that this shit like freaks me out. And that's probably honestly the biggest reason that I don't really like this movie is because it freaks me out. I think that kind of delving into those dreams and you lose control. Like anything can happen, and I don't like that. I prefer to be in control of things because it makes me less anxious.
So a lot of the film, you know, they talk about being, you know, inside the dream world and things like that. But, you know, there's a lot of moments where they don't know if they're awake or dreaming, you know, so they have these totems that they made to kind of help them with that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, not knowing if you're awake or dreaming can be very scary.
Which I plan to talk about at some point.
Look, go ahead.
Okay, so they're kind of go hand in hand with the false awakenings and lucid dreaming, which is something that I have experienced. There was like I want to say like 3-month time period where every single time I would fall asleep, I would be having a dream. It would feel so real. I would just be doing random things, driving the car, or I'd be at home doing something, and then I would be like, oh, wait, I'm dreaming, and I would wake up, right? And so then I would, like, continue on with my day and, like, do whatever I was doing before I initially fell asleep. But then I would wake up again in real life. And it scared the shit out of me. And it happened for, like, 3 months straight, and I hated it. And it was, like, to the point where I didn't want to go to sleep because it was freaking me the fuck out. And I don't like that shit at all. And I know some people can, like, kind of induce the lucid dreaming. It takes a little bit of practice. I was not trying to do that. If I don't get any peace throughout the day, like, why are you tormenting me in my dreams? Leave me alone.
I think the closest thing for me, when it comes to that, I've experienced sleep paralysis multiple times. It's not a fun feeling at all. You know, I was lying in bed and I was looking at the door, and it looked like the door was like slowly creeping open, but I could not move. Yeah. Like I was forcing myself trying to move, and I could not move to save my life.
That's only happened to me once, but I vividly remember I was laying on my back. It wasn't at the house we live in now. I was laying on my back, and I like woke up, and it felt like somebody was like sitting on my chest, and I couldn't move. And the minutes felt like it took a fucking hour, and I must have fallen back asleep at some point, and then woke back up, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
But
not for me.
But you know, going back to the film, you know, that feeling of not knowing if you're awake or not. You know, we kind of see Cobb struggle with that a few times in the film,
right?
And you know, it's been a long debated topic about if he was really dreaming or awake at the end of the film. And I mean, there's a lot of theories out there.
Yeah, I feel like you could sit there and argue that back and forth for hours.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I seen I think the actor Michael Caine, who played Miles, had said that Christopher Nolan told him that every scene that he was in was like real life. It was reality or whatever. And Miles was at the end with Cobb's kids. So that would mean that, you know, if we're going off of what he said, then that means Cobb was awake at the end of the film.
Right.
Even though the top, you know, the totem we see spinning.
Just spinning.
But if you listen closely at the end of the film, it's like the last like second you kind of hear it start to like wobble, meaning that it was about to stop.
Right. I mean, because those things can spin for a while.
It's such a fucking cliffhanger, though. Like, it's such a fucking cliffhanger. Also, I've seen a theory, because that totem actually belonged to Ma. Mm-hmm. We never see Cobb with a totem at all.
Did he not like adopt that as his own?
I don't know how that works though, because you see multiple time people, what's her name? Ariadne, yeah. She she tried to reach for Arthur's loaded die, and he was like, I can't let you touch it. It kind of defeats the purpose. So if Cobb was using Ma's totem, then it wouldn't really work. I feel like.
I mean, that's fair.
So there's a theory that, he was using her totem, so he really was just dreaming the entire time. I seen another theory that his wedding ring was the totem, because in scenes where he was dreaming that we know for sure were dreams, he had a wedding ring on, and then scenes where, we knew he was awake. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a ring on. So
I did not pay attention to that. So
you can argue both.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that there's a good argument for both sides.
Yeah, it's scary. It really is. And, in the film, they, Cobb and Ariadne was in a dream, and he was explaining to her, when you're dreaming, you never know how you got where you are, and at the end, people trying to figure out if he was awake or dreaming or whatever. If you think about it, we see how he got there. We knew that he was on the flight. We see him go through customs. We see him travel to that destination. So that's a smaller clue that he was awake.
Yeah. And now I'm trying to remember, did it end up showing his kids' faces in that last scene?
Yes.
Okay, because before, every other time when he was dreaming, we never saw their faces, so I think that's a good indicator as well.
I also seen the theory that, he was just happy to be with his kids. So the reason why he just left the totem on the table is because he didn't care if he was awake or dreaming. He just was there with his kids. So, this movie is trippy as fuck, really, when you think about it, and it can be really scary. If, Inception, they came up with this idea to plant inside of Fisher's head, trying to get him to break up his father's company and stuff like that. We can kind of look at that as mind invasion. And, to some degree, I feel like, it's almost like possession, almost like somebody's taking over your body and mind and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the part that tripped me up with that was when they were at, I don't know if it was a hotel or what it was, when they were in the bathroom and he was trying to convince him. He's like, look, these people came here to do this to you and do that to you. So like, let me put you under. And like, I was like, wow, you're very convincing.
Then there's the limbo part, which is, what they explain when they go 3 levels deep, and if somebody died down there. And actually, I think it happened in the second layer when they went. Because Sato had been shot, and Eames was about to kill him so he could wake up. And then Yusuf and Cobb was explaining how, because of how heavily sedated they are, that if he were to die in a dream, he would just fall into limbo.
Which is scary.
Which is just empty.
Yeah, it's just this nothingness where you're just trapped.
I mean, it's almost equivalent to, what hell may be like. You're just kind of there. And I think that's where Maul and Cobb was. They were in limbo.
Yeah.
Creating that world. Like, I think that's where they were. Kind of throughout the film, we see them, kind of building this world. I think he said they spent 50 years there, and then they came back to reality. And, which, I mean, that in itself is scary to live, to be that old, and then to just be jolted back into your younger body is, I feel like that would fuck you up in a lot of different ways.
For sure.
And we see, that affected Maul a lot. But I want to ask you guys that's watching the video a few questions, because this movie is really debated a lot. I wanted to ask, do you guys think that Cobb was awake or dreaming at the end? That's one. Two, do you guys think that Maul was the real villain of the film? And also, if someone could, implant an idea in your head, kind of like what they did to Fisher, would you ever truly know? Because they do talk about that, how I think Arthur used the analogy, or the example of, if I tell you not to think about elephants, you're going to think about elephants.
Right.
So they had to get creative with, how they try to make Fisher grow that idea organically of wanting to break up his father's, empire, essentially. And that was another theory I seen floating around, because they said that, having a positive reaction to everything would kind of, help that idea grow and everything like that. So the theory was that Miles, who was played by Michael Keane, hired Ariadne, played by Elliot Page, and I think she changed her name to something else, but
no, that is his name now.
She changed.
She was
something.
Ellen Page,
Like,
and now
she changed something. But hired her to kind of pull Cobb out of the dream world, bring him back to reality. Because he even said in the scene where Miles and Cobb was in the classroom, he said, "Come back to reality." So it's just like little clues where it's like, and her name Ariadne is Greek, and her name, based on Greek mythology, whatever, her name was belonged to somebody who helped. I forgot who it was that she helped, but she helped them escape a labyrinth. So, her helping Cobb escape the dream world and, kind of get over Maul and all that stuff. This movie is fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the longer you think about it, the more you just kind of twist yourself into circles and not really know which way is up and what to think.
That's why I think it was just so wonderfully done, is because you can come up with an answer, but you can also come up with a reason why that's not what it is. Mm-hmm. You can kind of go back and forth just endlessly, which is, kind of what time is just endless.